Do you ever have one of those days when you just couldn't get anything done, or at least that's what it felt like? That was yesterday for me. This video that I'm doing for you right now is actually the Monday video, and it should have already been done. And I wanted to say that it's been a battle for me. In fact, I still fight the word daily. If I'm not careful, I let myself respond out of spite. Hello, this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and this is the Daily Summation for Monday, the 4th of January of 2021. Though I am recording it on Tuesday the 5th, I will do my very best to get another video out today. But in any case, I'm happy to have everybody here who's coming to me from Rumble, the podcast, or YouTube. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you again for helping me to be, what for me is pretty successful, particularly for the folks joining me on Rumble. And I wanted to talk about a subject of spite. The subject is spite. And I wanted to say that the definition that I have, I think, is a pretty good one, and it is malicious ill will prompting an urge to hurt or humiliate another person, basically, to treat somebody spitefully, right? Obviously. Here's the thing. It's a hard thing for me to not respond in spite. And I can tell you what even drives that, okay, for me. For me, what actually drives spiteful responses is that people do things that are either intentionally stupid or just unintentionally things that they don't think about but are really bad things to have done. It's not an excuse, right? And I'm not trying to make an excuse for myself when I say that that's the truth. When I tell you that they do what I just said that they do, when people around me act badly, and I want to reach out and touch someone in a very physical sort of way, which these days, of course, I'm not really very well equipped to do. So it's probably a good thing that I mostly keep myself from trying to do that. But that doesn't mean that I can't find ways to act spiteful towards others. The thing that I want first for people to understand is spite is not a good thing. It is not a good way to respond, even if somebody's really managed to rankle you, to mess with you, to cause you various kinds of problems. Spite is not a good way to respond. It's just not, right? And so it's been something that I've been battling, as I say, for some time now, because in my way of thinking about things, it's something that I really need to eliminate from my life as a rule. And it's very hard because I find myself getting angry at things, which, by the way, I probably is also a root and something that I probably need to work on as well. And the result is that I tend to act spitefully towards others, and that almost never ends well. And sometimes it doesn't end well for the other person. Sometimes it doesn't end well for me. But the thing is, taking that selfish approach where you say, when I harm others, it's going to come back to haunt me in some way later on, most likely, right? People call it karma. I don't believe in karma per se, but at the same time, I do believe that your actions, your way, things that you do, your attitudes towards other people will come back on you. I just don't consider it karma in the traditional sense. I consider it the fact that there's cause and effect, and cause and effect is a chain. It's not just a single cause, single effect. It's a cause that affects makes some sort of effect occur, and then the effect is the cause for another effect, which is the cause for another effect, and so forth. And so from that perspective, somewhere out there, the chances are there's likely to be something that you started the ball rolling on where a cause had an effect that was a cause that had an effect, and so forth and so on. And obviously, I don't need to get into the ad nauseum of that, right? I'm sure you get the idea. I'm sure that it's understandable. And the point is, doing things spitefully, that is an example of a cause that almost certainly or very uncommonly will have any kind of good effect. Maybe, if you're lucky, it will help somebody to see the light in who they are, how they're behaving, and so forth. But the truth of the matter is, I really question whether or not it's actually worth the harm done in the process, because again, other people see that and deal with it. Other people deal with the person who you've acted out of spite towards, and the results of that are often not good. Again, it's a chain. Life is a series of chain reactions. You take an action, it causes a thing to occur that is a cause for something else, like I say. And this is just a continuing and ongoing thing. So when you respond out of spite, when you say, I'm going to display malicious ill will that causes me to want to act to hurt or humiliate someone else, I'm not doing anything beneficial as a rule. You're literally better off saying, I keep my mouth shut, or I'm gentle in my responses, than you will ever be acting in spite. That's just a given. You can believe it, you can accept it or not. And again, here's the problem. If I am not very, very careful, tend to be a spiteful person. And worse yet, I tend to be a very quietly spiteful person. It's very hard to tell when I'm actually spiteful, because I'm not going to come right out and tell you, yeah, I really have ill will towards you and it makes me want to hurt you or to humiliate you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to act. And when I act, sometimes you're going to realize that that's what happened and sometimes not. I try not to do that. What I try to do these days is literally yield way to others. So I'll be out in traffic and somebody will pull in front of me, pull around me, pull in front of me, and then jam on the brakes to turn. This is an excellent example for me of what makes me want to act spitefully. I'll pull out into traffic. I'll be driving along. Somebody will be behind me. They'll come up on me way too fast. They'll jerk around me, get in front of me. And then the very next thing that they'll see is a traffic light turning red. And when they go to take off, almost nobody has the reflexes that I do. I hate to say it, or at least displays the reflexes that I do, whether or not they have them. And the result is I'm wanting to take off and they're sitting there at the light, right? And that makes me have ill will, and it is malicious, and it is bad, and it is wrong, and I shouldn't do it. And I'm just here to tell you that you probably, if you find yourself in that mode, you probably ought to really be looking at yourself as well. I know I need to look at me. That's not even a doubt. There's no question there. I try very hard not to be that person, but I'm here to tell you, it's a hard thing to do. It's hard to not be that spiteful person, particularly when people do things to you that are problematic. It's very hard. It's very hard. And I'll just be the first to tell you that that's the case. And I have to fight it every day. In fact, I have to fight it often hourly if I'm out among people. When I'm by myself, it's not so bad. When I'm dealing with other people, it can be horrible. It can be terrible for me. So I'm just going to say to you this one thing. This is sort of my parting shot. And it is, I know that there are people out there who behave badly. I know there are. I get it. I know that I probably can be one of those people totally unintentionally. And first of all, let me apologize, because that's probably true and I know it. That I probably react badly or behave badly. And that sometimes I maybe even intentionally do it, but I really try hard not to be that person, right? I know that. But here's what you need to know. You need to know that acting spitefully is almost invariably a bad thing. Okay? That's the long and the short of it. What you're going to cause by acting spitefully, if you actually act out of spite, right? Being spiteful is bad enough. Okay? And I'll get to that in a second, very quickly. Acting spitefully is horrible because of the possible results. Now, quickly, the thing about being spiteful is this. You've heard people say that anger and so forth harms you more than anyone around you, and I will heartily concur with that sentiment. I agree. When I am angry, when I'm upset, when I let myself be bad-minded, It hurts me as much or more than anybody else in the physical, in the mental, in the psychological, the emotional, and the spiritual, in every sense. All right, I need to wrap things up, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Remember, this is actually the Daily Summation for Monday, the 4th of January, even though it's being recorded on Tuesday, the 5th of January. And again, thank you to everyone who's coming along on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. And hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Tuesday, the 5th of January of 2021 for Monday, the 4th of January of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.